Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 5, text number 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Gyatvam Shantim Richati. Gyatvam Shantim Richati. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Gyatvam Shantim Richati. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Gyatvam Shantim Richati. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Gyatvam Shantim Richati. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Ladies, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Gyatvam Shanti Richati. Bhoktaram, the beneficiary. Yajna, of sacrifices. Tapasam, and penances and austerities. Sarvaloka, of all planets and the demigods thereof. Maha Ishvaram, the Supreme Lord. Suridam, the benefactor. Sarva, of all. Bhutanam, the living entities. Gyatva, thus knowing. Mam, me, Lord Krishna. Shantim, relief from material pangs. Richati, one achieves. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Purport. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world. But they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary of all human beings. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because He's the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than He. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Svatashvatara Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be the lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of the material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it's not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all the living entities, including the great demigods, are His subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. The 5th chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as karma yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how karma yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as His fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya, illusion, due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he's in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life, even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial toward anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. And one who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above-mentioned passions, remains factually in the transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. The eightfold yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is a gradual process of elevation in the practice of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. But these only preface perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. It is the highest perfection of life. Bhoktaram yogitapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatvam shanti mrichati. Bhoktaram means the enjoyer. Yagya means sacrifice, and tapasa means austerities. Are meant to be offered to the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Krishna stating that clearly. This chapter talks about karma yoga, sacrificing the fruits of one's activities to the Supreme. So that can be practically done by understanding who is the Supreme. And then Krishna is clearly indicating here that he is the Supreme. He is above all the demigods. Some people are attracted by different demigods, like Lord Shiva, etc., Durga. Right? But Krishna is the master of all the demigods. And therefore, everyone should surrender to Krishna. Whatever austerities they perform, whatever sacrifices they perform, these should be done for the pleasure of the Lord. Sarvaloka Maheshwara. So there's many planets. There's the sun, the moon, different stars, right? And unlike the modern scientists who say that all of these are uninhabited, that's not what we understand from the Vedic literatures. The moon, Chandraloka, there's so many inhabitants there. The moon god, right? He's there. So, on all of these planets, there are life forms. And all of these are a higher standard of pleasure than this earth planet. Right? In earth planet, there is some standard of pleasure. But in the heavenly planets, there's much more pleasure. Right? Just like you don't have to sit and sweat in the heavenly planets. Right? But in Bombay, you have to sweat. Why? Because it's hot and it's humid, right? Uncomfortable. But in the heavenly planets, it's always AC, right? Natural AC. Even now, when a nice breeze comes, we think, oh, nice breeze, nice breeze. But in the heavenly planets, there's always a nice breeze. But Krishna is the controller of all of these, Sarvaloka, and all the demigods, whether it's Varuna or Chandra or whatever demigod. Krishna is the controller of all the demigods. Ekale Krishna ar sab bhritya. That's Bengali. One supreme controller. Ekale Ishwar Krishna ar sab bhritya. Means that everyone else is his servant. The demigods are the servants of Krishna. Whether it's Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, they're the servants of Krishna. They know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Krishna is the well-wisher of all living entities. We have friendships in this material world, but these friendships in the material world, they come and they go, right? Someone is your friend today, and the next day, the same person is Piche se Chaco Marte. Right? This is the material friendships. But the friendship that Krishna gives is everlasting. Krishna never breaks his friendship with the living entities. Just see, we all need air to breathe. Krishna gives air. We all need water to drink. Now the rainy season is coming. If we don't get rain in the rainy season, nothing to drink, there'll be water shortage, and the government will turn off the tap. No water. So that water comes from Krishna, and he doesn't discriminate. He gives water for everyone. It's not that it only rains in Juhu. It rains everywhere. Everyone can take advantage. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. All the living entities, they're looking for shelter in this material world. They want shelter. And people think if I work very hard and I earn money, then I will get shelter. But we can see that even though people are working very hard, still they don't feel shelter. They don't feel satisfied. They don't feel happiness, right? That's because, this is the reason, they don't understand that Krishna is their friend. Krishna is the supreme friend of everyone. He's residing within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. And he's externally come in the form of his deity in the temple. And also he's come in the form, specifically in Kali Yuga, in the form of his holy name. Lord Sri Krishna is non-different from his name. And when we chant the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna is dancing on our tongue. Okay? Because Krishna and Krishna's name is one and the same. So people are looking for happiness. They want peace. But unless they understand that Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the controller, and Krishna is the friend of everyone, there can be no peace. No peace. Only when people understand that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, that I should work for the pleasure of Krishna. I should try to satisfy Krishna. I should try to please Krishna. Then I'll become pleased. Just like the servant of the king. The king is there, he has his palace. And the mood of the servant is to please the king. If the servant pleases the king, then because the king is pleased, the servant gets everything. Is it not? When the king is pleased, everything. The king has everything. And if you please the king, you'll get everything. Right? Same way, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And if we work for the satisfaction of Krishna, then we'll be satisfied. As long as we're trying to work for our own satisfaction, we'll never be satisfied. You know why? Because when there's so many living entities and they're all trying to compete for their own satisfaction, everyone becomes disturbed. Everyone. Just like if you take one pebble and you drop it in the water, from where the pebble lands in the water, circles come, waves. And all the waves, one after another, they come in a perfect sequence because the center is the pebble. Same way, when we keep Krishna as the center of all our activities, of all our sacrifices, of all our austerities, then there's harmony, like the waves coming from the pebble. But if you take 50 pebbles and throw them in the water, each will have their center, and the waves will be coming, the circles will be coming, but they'll conflict with each other. There'll be disturbance. That is the material world. The material world is where everyone is competing to be the supreme enjoyer. And there's always a disturbance, always dissatisfaction, always unpleasantness. But when the living entities who are part and parcel of Krishna keep Krishna as the center, then there can be harmony. Then it's like the one pebble, when all the concentric circles are coming from the pebble. So this information Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad Gita at the end of this 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He's explaining the peace formula. People want peace in the world, but they don't know how to get peace. Peace can only be had when everyone realizes that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and is the owner and controller of everything. As long as I'm thinking that this is my country, I'm thinking my community, then there can never be harmony. Everything belongs to Krishna, whether it's India, Russia, America. The Americans think, oh, this is our country. But before the Americans came, there was the Adivasis. What they call them? The Red Indians. Okay? The brown Indians are in India, but the Red Indians are in America. Because when Columbus reached to America, he thought he was in India. So the inhabitants, the Adivasis in America, he called them Indians. But he wasn't in India. He only got halfway. He was in North America, South America. So before the Americans came to America, there were the Red Indians, and they were saying this is their land, and people from Europe took it away from them and claimed it as their land. So how there can be peace? It's Krishna's land. If you're claiming your land and someone else is claiming my land, then both are chores. They're taking Krishna's land and claiming as my land. When actually it belongs to, everything belongs to Krishna. He's the Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, the supreme controller, the owner of everything. So only when they understand that. Otherwise, what happens? My country, your country, and then fight. Like India, Pakistan, Russia, Ukraine, and so many others. But why your country? This country, everything belongs to Krishna. It's Krishna's country, Krishna's land. Bhumir apo nalovayu kamano budeva cha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the Panch Mahabhut, right? Whether you're in India or whether you're in Russia or whether you're in America, there's earth, water, fire, air, sky, isn't it? So these energies belong to who? Who do they belong to? And if I say, no, they belong to me, let's say you have a watch, and I say, that watch now belongs to me. What you'll say? Huh? Nahi chalega. Same way, all persons are claiming now this belongs to me, but it belongs to Krishna. He's the owner. You can use it, no problem. Use it. Use the land, grow some food, but don't claim to be the owner. If you claim to be the owner, then you're chore. Chore number one. And you may get 50 chores. They all stole something. Kuch chori kiya. और साथ में आ गया और ये सब लोग बोलते हैं हम लोग वो डिवाइड इवनली करेगा. एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बना के देगा, गवर्नमेंट बनाएंगे, लेकिन बात है क्या वो चोर है. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनाओ, गवर्नमेंट बनाओ, लेकिन जब तक भगवान श्री कृष्ण को रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं करें वो भी चोर है. जो भी छापा लगा देते हैं, प्राइम मिनिस्टर लगा दो, प्रेसिडेंट लगा दो, कोई भी लगा दो, लेकिन जब तक भगवान श्री कृष्ण को एक्नॉलेजमेंट नहीं दे रहे हैं, ये भगवान श्री कृष्ण का जामिन है, सब कुछ है, उसका लोका है. फिर हम लोग चोर है, और चोर कैसा शांति मिलेगा? शांति कभी नहीं मिलेगा. नहीं, शांति कभी नहीं मिलेगा. चोर लोग हमेशा सोचते हैं जब भी पुलिस आएगा हमको पकड़ेगा, हमेशा चिंता करते हैं, है कि नहीं? तो सब लोग इस भौतिक संसार के अंदर सोच रहे हैं तो हम मुख्य है, लेकिन मुख्य नहीं है. भगवान श्री कृष्ण मुख्य है. तो इसलिए सब सोच रहे हैं जब भी भगवान मेरे पास आएगा और पकड़ेगा. कब पकड़ेगा? मृत्यु का समय पकड़ेगा. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am death, mrityu sarva charasyaham. I come in the form of death for everyone. You can't escape death because it's Krishna. So everyone who knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, death for them is different. Just like a kitten. A kitten is picked up by its mother by the mouth. Right? But the kitten is thinking, oh, this is my mother. Very nice. My mother has me. Right? And then there's the rat, the chua. He also gets captured by the cat. But what is the chua thinking? Hare, mar jayega. I'm going to die. Same mouth. One is the kitten, one is the chua. So don't be chua. Be surrendered to Krishna. Then you can be happy, otherwise not. So people generally think they're going to perform work and from that work they'll get some result, and that's called karma. For every activity, there's a result. So when people surrender the result of their activity to God, that becomes karma yoga. And actually, karma yoga is nothing but bhakti yoga. Because in bhakti also, the activities bring some result, but that is offered to Krishna. So what karma yoga really is nothing but bhakti yoga. The yoga of love and the yoga of devotion. So people perform different types of yoga, and that's going to be described in the next chapter, the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, entitled Dhyan Yoga. Krishna is going to describe the process of meditation. Of course, we all understand what is the best process of meditation in this Kali Yuga, right? We have information from the Kali Santra Upanishad. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nasteva, 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 gatiranyata. That the best process for meditating, thinking of the Supreme Lord is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Some people sit in meditation and they say that they're meditating on the void. And we see after some time, after sitting for a long time, they simply fall asleep. That is their meditation, sleeping. Whereas sometimes we see the demigods, like Lord Shiva. He's sitting in meditation, he's doing dhyan. But he's not thinking of nothing. He's not thinking of the void. Lord Shiva is meditating on his Istadevata, Ananta, a form of Lord Vishnu. So meditation means to think of something. And the best way to think of the form of the Lord is by chanting his holy name. Of course, you can also come to the temple and see the deity nicely dressed, and that's also a meditation. You come see Krishna, nice garland, beautiful decoration, and that impression comes to us. That's a kind of meditation. So whether one comes to the temple and sees the deity, or whether one chants the holy name of the Lord, these are different forms of fixing the mind on the Supreme. And when we fix the mind on the Supreme, gradually we'll be able to understand that he's what? Muktaram Yagitapasam, the Supreme Controller. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, the Supreme Controller of all the planets and all the demigods. And, and he's the supreme friend of every living entity, Suridam Sarvabhutana. So this 5th chapter is finished with this particular shloka. And one important thing to understand is the Lord, he's not partial towards anyone, right? He sees everyone equally. He sees everyone as his parts and parcels. Sometimes people think that God is partial, right? He takes care of the devotees, but he's against the demons. No, not like that. Look at when Shishupal was at the Rajasurya sacrifice, that time Sahadev suggested that Krishna be the first one worshipped in the Rajasurya sacrifice. And Shishupal objected. He insulted Krishna. And he insulted Krishna so many times. Finally, because the devotees of Krishna were so disturbed by Shishupal that Krishna chopped off his head with the Sudarshan chakra. And everyone at the Rajasurya sacrifice could see that an effulgence came out of Shishupal and merged into the body of Krishna. It means that Shishupal got Sayugya Mukti. So Krishna, he even gives the demons liberation by his acts. So Krishna is impartial. It's everyone according to, in the material world, some people are in the mode of goodness, some people are in the mode of passion, some people are in the mode of ignorance. So the persons that are in the mode of goodness, they flourish. Because in the mode of goodness, that's what happens. People flourish. They become economically well off. They become peaceful. And their families are happy together. Mode of goodness. People in the mode of passion, they're always, in a hurry, struggling. So, although in the beginning they have some enjoyment from their passionate activities, in the end they suffer. And persons in the mode of ignorance, they suffer in the beginning, they suffer in the middle, and they suffer at the end. They just always suffer. Right? So, why should we think that God is partial? He's not partial. He set this world out here in a certain way, and it works in a certain way according to his design, according to God's design. And he gives an instructions how you can live in this world and progress spiritually and materially. And that's called the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So by studying the Bhagavad Gita, applying the Bhagavad Gita in our lives, we can live in this world peacefully and also make progress towards going back to the spiritual world, which is where we actually all came from, the spiritual world. So Krishna is not partial. Krishna is equal to everyone. He's an equal opportunity employer. Anyone can render service to him and make progress in spiritual life. And for those who actually take up the process of Krishna consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, they can very easily and quickly understand that Krishna is the controller, Krishna is the enjoyer, and Krishna is my only friend. Prabhupada used to say, I'm your friend because I'm telling you that Krishna is your only friend. I'm your friend because I'm telling you Krishna is your only friend. So we should always remember that, right? Krishna is our only friend, the real friend. No fair weather friends. Thick and thin, Krishna is there within our hearts. But as we chant, as we study Bhagavad Gita, we'll be able to understand that, and we'll have peace in our lives, and we'll also be able to help other people develop peace in their lives through Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? You got the mic?
devoted. The Christians combined with the music one, with his stick art. So basically, what is understood to stick with the music for the Krishna?
Music is also coming from Krishna.
Hey, what is that? Why is it Krishna's only the music with the sticks? Other god is not doing this ones. The basic purpose of
Krishna is the supreme person, and Krishna likes to play the flute.
Yeah.
And
basic fruit.
the notes of the flute,
Yeah.
Sare Gama Pada Nisa.
That's music.
This Sare Gama Pada Nisa is the vibrations coming from Krishna's flute. And Lord Brahma, he heard the sound vibration of Krishna's flute. And by hearing that sound vibration of Krishna's flute, all the imports of Vedic knowledge were revealed to him. So this Saregama Pada Nisa, that's not a material thing. As long as it's used in the service of Krishna, one can use the notes that are there to progress in spiritual life, accompany those notes with the holy name of Krishna.
Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guruji. You very nicely explained the peace formula through this verse. My question is that as you explained how Krishna is Bhoktaram, he is Yagnatapsam, and Suhrada, he is the best friend. But still we see that we may know this theoretically sometimes, but then one may try to depend on the material securities in this world. Sometime we know this, and sometime Krishna may not reciprocate in a physical way, in a physical sense. So we may try to have these material securities like bank balance and others to go on. So how to develop that absolute dependence, as we hear many examples in Srimad Bhagavatam?
When Krishna sees that we are surrendering everything to him, then he takes charge of us and supplies everything. That can't happen overnight. It takes a little time. Because as you mentioned, we think that there's some other shelter besides Krishna. But for the pure devotee of the Lord, he has no other shelter except for Krishna. And he's totally surrendered to Krishna. Just look at the life of Srila Prabhupada. At an advanced age, he got on a boat and went to America, right? And he was simply depending on Krishna. In America, when he got there, he saw that it's a very dangerous place. Very dangerous. In New York City, in the broad daylight, they can hit you over the head and take your money. New York, dangerous place. But Srila Prabhupada was depending on Krishna. And Krishna, seeing his desire to serve him, seeing his desire to please his spiritual master, Krishna made all arrangements. Krishna made drug-addicted young people to become devotees. He enlightened them within the heart. All kinds of people. Right? And how could that happen? Nobody can understand how that could happen. But it's only happened through Srila Prabhupada's total surrender to Krishna, total dependence on Krishna, and Krishna reciprocating like a competition to please Srila Prabhupada by sending so many devotees and opening so many temples. So that complete surrender is a very rare thing, but it's possible by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we surrender to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we surrender to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, then it can become possible for us to completely be dependent on Krishna, gradually. And we should try for that.
My another question is, as you explained, that when we serve Krishna, we become happy, we become peaceful when we serve Krishna. But then we see there is another category of people in this world who think that if they try to serve others, like social service and all, that makes them happy.
Yeah, there's some happiness there. Like Gandhi, Mohandas Gandhi, he served his countrymen. And there's some satisfaction there. But it's never complete. In the end, he was very dissatisfied with what happened, right? And ultimately, somebody was dissatisfied with him and they shot him. So that's the problem with trying to find happiness by serving the parts and parcels. The happiness comes when we serve the whole. Then the parts and parcels will automatically become happy. The example is in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srila Prabhupada many times gives the example. If you apply water on each and every leaf, the tree will not sustain. You have to give water to the root, and then each and every branch, each and every leaf becomes satisfied. In the same way, when we serve Krishna, when we know Krishna is the supreme controller and enjoyer, then we can satisfy others. We'll be satisfied and others will be satisfied. So social welfare work, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It can help you, come to the next stage, which is to satisfy Krishna. By doing pious works, people get an opportunity to understand their relationship with Krishna gradually. But that's kind of a slow process. The quick process is the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam, and remembering Krishna. Any other questions? You had a chance. Anybody else had a chance? Want a chance to talk? Ask a question? Okay, I'm going to end there. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.